Welcome back to this segment of the Grow Your Biz Show. I'm Paul Madsen, your host, and today I am with Frank and Kim Spillers of Rural Community Solutions. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, great to see you again. Yeah, hey, we've talked on other segments about relationships and engagement in building a thriving rural community. What's next on the list, Frank?
Entrepreneurs.
Oh, one of my favorite topics.
That's right, and that's what we're finding in rural communities is because now, and COVID really brought this up to light. Now people are choosing where they want to live and then bringing their job with them.
Yeah, the Remote Worker Act. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not only remote workers, but what kind of side business can I do, or what kind of idea, or you have people that are just working from home and digitalizing their home. They're a coach. They're building courses, whatever. All they need is a computer and access.
Right. Well, I mean, I know you in particular have done a long history of economic development. What was old school economic development regarding factories and jobs? Speak to that a little bit.
Well, it is. It was a recruitment mentality. Now, there's larger communities can go into the recruitment game, but for smaller communities, it's really expensive, very expensive. We know one state just had a server farm that was recruited to it, and they did $298 million in tax incentives to get that for 50 jobs.
50 jobs.
Yeah, so if you start doing the division on there.
Yeah.
But what we really know is that 99% of all new jobs created, 99% from all new jobs are created by new business startups and your existing industry.
Wow.
So it's not by business recruitment, it's by let's focus at home, let's focus on our talents, and let's build that.
Well, and that makes sense, Kim, because I mean, we're all old enough here. We're all in our 30s and 40s. Right.
Yes.
That,
A couple of times.
A couple times. Yeah, there you go.
Not going there.
Don't try. You had to say that. I was at a social event, and people keep calling me sir. What's up with that? I mean, my dad's over there. Anyway, now where was I going with that? Oh, just the whole idea of we're old enough to remember that there was no Google, there was no Facebook, there was no Apple, you know, and you say all new jobs are created from within kind of things. Yeah. I mean, speak to that, Kim. What have you seen communities do to build that entrepreneurial infrastructure?
Well, what's real interesting is that, since going back to that wagon story and planting the flag and starting the community that we talked about in another segment, if you look at our main streets, even here in Omaha, in metro areas, you can find lots of mom and pops. In rural communities, it just happens to be that that's the majority. Often, it's kind of more of a rare community that has a number of manufacturers. It's not that it isn't, but often it's mom and pops. And so supporting those mom and pops is really important to the economic vitality of a small community. And then having ideas, new ideas come up to create those new jobs, because there's so much transition, so much change that's taking place all across the world that we need to be evolving with it. So getting stuck in the past is not going to help us get ahead to the future. It's not going to, we need new ideas. We need our kids to, we need the adults to listen to the kids so that we can, the things that they know are things that we don't know. How to use programming and all of the technology and things like that. But there's a lot of kids that we talk to who want to take over the local vet practice. They want to have coffee shops. They want to have breweries and wineries and things like that, so that they attract, they help make that welcoming atmosphere in a community. And sometimes that's really tough. That evolution is something that community leaders who have been traditional economic developers, I wonder whether or not they kind of feel displaced. That even though it doesn't work quite the same as it used to, or doesn't work at all like it used to, that then people who have brought the community to where it is, they feel devalued. And so we need to take that into consideration as well, that as we evolve, we're happy for and grateful to the people who have brought the community to the place it is.
That's an interesting assessment, because I would, not everybody want to see a whole bunch of cottage computer industries in their own houses and stuff. They want to appreciate the history of the community, because that's they've probably been there their whole life. Well, Frank, how does your organization help bring that awareness of the importance of, instead of recruiting 100 people in a factory, of recruiting 10 or 20 people in a home-based business? How do you build that awareness?
Well, I'd rather have 10 businesses with 5 employees
Right.
than one business with 50
Absolutely.
employees. And so we're part of a national consulting team, and it's made up of Entrepreneurial Ecosystems, or E2, here in Lincoln, and Network Kansas, which is a Kansas-based entrepreneurial system building that Kansas has had since 2005. Wonderful program, and so we're really honored to be a part of all that process. Well, we're all studying Ord, Nebraska. Now, Don Mackey, one of our partners, and he's Vice President of Network Kansas and Entrepreneurial Ecosystems out of Lincoln, started working with Ord, Nebraska, 20, 30 years ago, between 20 and 30 years ago, and building that up. And there was one person from Ord that went to Nebraska City for a community development meeting, and this was back in 1991, I believe it was.
Wow.
And he had his wife drive him home, and as he was driving home, he was making the strategic plan of, okay, how can we, how can we, as Ord, Nebraska, rebuild our community? And
Wow.
this is in Ord, Nebraska.
And
it's a town of
what
about
was this? Was this a
2,700.
person, an economic developer, or was just a local resident that
He was
had
an
a higher
attorney.
awareness, or
He
what?
was
He was
an
an attorney.
attorney.
Attorney, okay.
Yep. And so as the attorney, he was saying, okay, if I want to raise my family in this community, something's got to change.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when he got back, he just started talking to some people. So maybe a group of 4 or 5 people just got together in Ord, and they said, okay, this is how we're going to go by it. So they started building relationships. They started having conversations, engagement
Right.
with people around the community, and kind of not selling the idea, but let's talk about the idea and build that common ground that we can all build upon and save our community. So they didn't get economic development right away. It took them about 15 years before any tipping points
Wow.
started to transpire
Yeah.
that they could do. And so Don and a team of his has written a study of Ord, Nebraska that is now going to go national. And so we're going to be working with communities on how did Ord do it. They study it in between time, and then we go back and we have like a book discussion of an Ord discussion on that.
Yeah.
And then, because what Ord did is very, very copyable,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you could say
okay,
that.
copyable.
Duplicatable.
Replicable.
Yeah, we can replicate it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
You bet. And what kinds of businesses did Ord grow in its world? I mean, tell us what happened as a result of that.
They did recruit an ethanol facility. So
Okay.
they did recruit that ethanol facility, but instead of saying, okay, ethanol facility, you're on your own, they said, ethanol facility, what business support businesses do you need? And then they started building those businesses. So they built it upon entrepreneurship. They built their community on entrepreneurs. They've attracted a coffee shop, they've attracted a brewery, they've attracted a lot of young people, and they have a consistent leadership program. Not a leadership program of what resources do we have around the state or around the community or around the county. They said, how do we treat people? How do we build an environment to where we can treat people and that sense of belonging?
Sure.
And
Tim, it kind of goes back to the whole idea of that spark that you
Yes.
bring. The culture is the word I'm looking for
Yes.
that you talked about earlier. Did Ord change its culture?
Oh, absolutely, yes. When Bob Stoll is this gentleman's name, when Bob started this whole evolution of Ord to where it used to be, there were a number of different groups of people who had different ideas about how the community should be run. And to unify those voices is what has taken the time, because those relationships are absolutely critical. And so now their biggest demographic, they've done a number of capital campaigns. They have all kinds of wonderful new additions to their hospital. It's a regional hospital. Their biggest demographic is 18 to, no, 20,
30 to
40
45
30
year olds.
30 to
Wow.
45
That's the
year olds,
fastest
yeah.
growing demographic.
And that's
And what all rural communities
And that's
want.
amazing, and especially with and that's a target market because they spend the most for the
Well,
families
and
and
they have
houses
kids.
and all that.
Yeah, they have kids for
Interesting.
schools.
And,
Well,
and their population loss, they went from losing 6% of their population on a census count, and they reduced that down to losing 1%. So
Wow.
they are slow in the
Wow.
drain,
Wow.
and they're about tipping point. But what they did is, yeah, we're a community of 2,700, and we're a county of about 4,500, but we are an income-producing economy of 19,000.
Wow.
And so they really collaborated,
Wow.
and that's our
Yeah.
that's our next one. Is how do we work on the economy,
Sure.
and what is our economy?
Yeah, well, that's terrific. And when I hear 1991 and a 30-year curve for this, you know,
Yes.
it reminds me of the story, which I'm sure you know and use, what's the best time to plant a tree?
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
30 years ago,
Yeah.
what's the next best time to plant a tree? Today.
Yes.
And so you are the sparks that help plant those trees in the rural communities and help get them going, and then they hope that fire spreads. And that's a wonderful mission. It's called Rural Community Solutions. Kim and Frank Spillers, thanks for joining us for this section of the Grow Your Biz Show.